complicated. I never know what I'm chasing, no. I don't need someone to save me, but you appear like a lightning bolt. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. There's magic in your rhythm, like a shockwave to my system. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. 'Cause every time I'm with you, you're my one and only elixir. Like a magnetic attraction, a supernatural vertigo. It's a chemical reaction, something I never imagined, no. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. There's magic in your rhythm, like a shockwave to my system. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. 'Cause every time I'm with you, you're my one and only elixir. You're the one that lights me up, ah. You're the one that lights me up, ah. You're the one that lights me up, ah. You're the one that lights me up. Baby, you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. There's magic in your rhythm, like a shockwave to my system. Maybe you're a wizard, 'cause you're busy. 'Cause every time I'm with you,
Hey everybody, my name is Ashley. I am a connection evangelist for NVIDIA Omniverse, and this is the Learn With Me stream. I stream twice a week, Monday and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Time or 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And I started this stream because when I was new to Omniverse, I wanted to dedicate some time to learning parts of Omniverse that I wasn't familiar with and how different connectors, extensions, apps could help me in my workflow. And what better way to learn than to stream and teach you all at the same time as well. With that said, if I'm doing something and you see me struggling, feel free to put in the chat a way to move me forward. Even if you're wrong, let's break something. It's the best way to figure out what we can fix is to break it. So there's that. This is the document I share at the top of every stream. I will put it in the chat. It is in the description of this video as well if you're watching it on YouTube. In this document, there's a bunch of resource links. First thing is the code of conduct, so make sure you're familiar with it so you're abiding by all the rules when you're participating in the chat. Other link is getting started with Omniverse. So if you're new to Omniverse, this is all the things you need to download it, getting started, documentation and learning. It's a great little landing page. Next link on the resource doc is your calendar. So this is all of the community events going on with NVIDIA Omniverse. If you add it to your calendar, you get notifications when something like my stream, Maddie's stream, Eric's stream, the regular Wednesday streams, all of that stuff, you get notified when it's coming. And other link, the Computex kind of overview of what was announced at Computex. You can check that out. It's in the forums. Omniverse documentation, and today we're going to be looking through the new nodes in Omnigraph. So there's some Omnigraph documentation. Before I do that, if you've watched my streams before, I was talking about the challenge that was in the Discord community, Set the Scene challenge. We haven't announced a new challenge yet, but I really wanted to go through and look at some of the ones that I looked at in Discord that I thought were like super, super amazing. In the Discord community, there is an event for community challenges where people post all of their submissions. It's not a contest, just a challenge to get people working, and you had to use Omniverse somewhere in your workflow. Whether that was as a rendering platform, you used it to set the scene, like set up your assets and you rendered it somewhere else. However Omniverse was used, you were eligible to submit. So Funky Boy, aka Steven, posted a bunch of the work that they did, and they showed off in a previous community stream using Omniverse in their workflow. This one like wowed me. This is Jay Dizzle on Discord. This is incredible. Look how beautiful this is. I love all of like the reddish orange floral stuff going on. Got the Omniverse logo as if it's some magical enchantment that you have to explore and find, which is super cool. And they even explain how they use Omniverse in their workflow, so you can check that out. I saw another one. This was like a preamp for Jay from JS Films. I'm going to show you the video that they posted of this as well. And then Love from Gaia posted this, and they shared it in Share Your Work, which is also a great little part of the Discord community where you can share all the stuff you do. They posted it on YouTube, and let's make it full screen. So they used Blender with this as well, and it's like a tribute to MC Escher. This is incredible. It's very artistic. It's like something I imagine I would see like playing on a little screen of walking into some kind of gallery. So I thought this was really awesome. Great job with this. These characters are really cool. Yeah, so you can check out the rest of that video there. And then the video that Jay posted once they finished up, this one is on the Discord as well. I kind of sped it up a little bit, but it's like slow motion moving through a scene. I'm looking at it in like the worst quality ever. There you go. That looks so much better. This is really cool. I love like the cyberpunk colors, and it's as if it's like a Matrix style slow motion where there's still some kind of movement going, like time is slowed down and you're able to like walk through the scene. Like you can see this fire coming out of the gun. This is so cool. This is all rendered with path tracing, and they're using 4 ADA 6000s. That's insane. 4 ADA 6000s to render that out. That's beautiful. So great job for everyone submitting for the challenge. Yeah, it closed on June 30th, but if you were working on something, I'd say submit anyway. Doesn't matter. It's a few days late. I would love to see it. So great job, everyone. Really cool. Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Today we're going to be exploring some of the new nodes. If you all noticed, last Friday, USD Composer 2023.1 beta dropped. That uses Kit 105. There are so many cool things in Kit 105, but my most favorite is all of the Omnigraph nodes. I love visual scripting. I think it's so easy to work with. It allows for everyone to be a developer really easily. So I wanted to show off some of those new nodes today. I have not explored with them, so this is truly a learn with me. You are exploring with me, and we're going to see if we can get some stuff working. I said this is a part 1 because I'm assuming I'm going to want to play with these a lot, and we can do so many different cool things with it. So part 1, let's see how many parts we go through it and all the cool stuff the nodes can do. And maybe some of them work in VR. So let's test it out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my layout to visual scripting. I really prefer to work in this layout when I'm working in Action Graph, or Omnigraph as it's also known. Omnigraph is the collection of different graphs. Action Graph is a type of Omnigraph. So I'm going to create one, and let's go visual scripting. See, there's Action Graph, Push Graph, Lazy Graph. Those are all the Omnigraphs, so we'll use Action Graph. And that opened up for me here. Let's just make sure, click Open Graph. And we have all of our different nodes, but if you go into like the big area here and tab, then you get like a quick search. So whatever works for you. The nodes that I'm talking about are all of these Physx nodes. There are so many of them. We had a few before. They were like overlap checks using Physx. I've used them in previous streams when I was detecting collision on a pallet with boxes, and there was like a overlap here, and Eric Kraft was able to create like a whole workflow using this, which was really fun. But now we have like trigger events, we have scene vehicles, character controllers, activates or deactivates a character controller on a capsule prim. That's exactly what I needed when I was working in my warehouse. This is really cool. You even have control settings for the character controller. I'm excited to try the trigger event. Emits an event when a collider enters or leaves the volume of a trigger. It's like the same stuff you use in like game theory. And then what else? We have different computing nodes, compute bounds overlap, geometry overlaps, intersecting faces. Let's pull this out a little bit more to read it. Geometry penetrations, geometry contacts, lots of different things. An on contact event and an on contact event advanced. What's the difference between these? Let's look at them. Oh, wow. So here's the on contact and then the difference. So many different options. Let's look at this on trigger one. I think that's the one I want to play with today. So I'm familiar with on trigger events using when I would work in Unity, especially when I was making VR games. It's really easy for you to create scripts that are on a trigger event. So I'm wondering if we could do something with this today. Let's delete that one, delete this one. And we could create some like simple little scene here. Perhaps like a button, and then we could like drop a ball on a button, and like when something is dropped on the button's animation happens. Right? That seems simple enough to do on a stream. We say that and then we can try it. Also, I just noticed that on the... Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to get rid of my face for now. But hopefully that's a little bit better for you all to see. So now we have its measurement of what USD Composer using right here on the viewport. So it is in centimeters, which is like a big question we get. So cool. I love that. All right, let's go ahead and actually just like build the button. So I'm going to go back to like the default scene. And is there like a button already in our NVIDIA assets? We have, I typed in button, nothing came up. What about our new SimReady Explorer? So this is all the different, it's kind of like NVIDIA assets, but they are SimReady. So they have physics applied to them. I doubt there's a button. You never know though. Nope. That's okay. We can create one. So I don't know. Let's do a cylinder. Make it button size. And what other shape could we use for it to like go into? If we're using physics, you know, normally I would just create like another cylinder and just make it look like the button is being pressed down into it. Oop. But I feel like if we're using physics and we have colliders on this, and the two colliders are gonna bounce off each other, so maybe we could just use a torus. That is definitely not the whoops most appropriate looking thing for a button, but why not? And then we have this. Does it? Yep, there you go. So a button within a donut, and we'll have it so when something happens, when the trigger enters, the button pushes down into the torus, aka the donut. Let's set an animation for it. So let's go to window, animation, timeline, really basic animation of the cylinder. And we will set key. We're gonna go all the way, I don't know, what, 60 frames. Set that here, set key. Play it. Okay, there you go. Really easy animation of a button being pressed down. A maple bacon donut. That's Jen's favorite donut that I've still yet to try. I really love a Boston cream donut, so when I get donuts, it's hard for me to stray away. But I'll try. I'll try to find a maple bacon donut. Okay, we good with this? I think we're good with this. Let's stop it here. Oops. And let's go back. Oh, look, it created a little push graph first. I wonder if we could create Let's open this one. Here's our animation. Now I don't want it to trigger this animation until the trigger happens, and that's what I think is going to be the challenge for today. Let's go into visual scripting layout so we can actually see it. Should we, so is it this one that we want to work with? Or open this one. We have the trigger, and then if I do animation, evaluates curve animation. Node is a timeline node is a node that lets you create animation curves, playbacks, samples. Update animation graph, allow manual updating processing of an animation graph on a character. Let me pull this one out. No, because we don't want to update a character. Let's get rid of that one. So when trigger happens, timeline plays. But will the push graph play? I guess we'll have to see. But now we have to decide. Oh, these don't have physics on them yet. Whoopsies. Let's go there. We'll do just collider on the button. And then how do we use the trigger? Other collider. Probably have to pull the cylinder out, and we will read. Set the attribute. Where's the collider? Physics approximation, physics collision enabled. That's what we need. And then is it this one? Trigger collider? Output trigger collider. Path of collider prim containing the trigger API that has emitted the trigger event. It will not be updated if none of the two execution pins are wired. Does that work? Oh, look, we have trigger relationships. So maybe we don't need this. Add bundle, which is this. Listen to all triggers. If true, the node will trigger whenever a trigger event happens, ignoring the list of provided paths and trigger relationships. Oh, no, we want to only trigger the cylinder. Where is the trigger box in viewport? There isn't one. It's not like in Unity when you click on the actual object and it's like little collider. It says you can make the collider a trigger. I don't think it doesn't have something like that. So yes, you have to define it, and that's in here. So trigger relationships is the cylinder. The trigger path, I don't know, what's a trigger path? So specify one or more paths to prims which apply trigger API to monitor their trigger events. What does that mean? Specify one or more paths to prims with applied trigger API to monitor their trigger events. Oh, so this. What is the difference between trigger relationships and trigger paths? If they say the same thing. Is there like a new attribute you can add? Interesting. Maybe in their collider there is actually advanced. No, I don't see anything. Error. Cylinder needs trigger API for this node to receive trigger notifications. Needs trigger API. I'm not sure if the documentation has even been updated for this node. Let's go into on trigger. Maybe one word? Yeah, it hasn't even been updated. Trigger API. USDRT Python API. Hey, trendy trend. Whoa. Let's go to search this. This is, yeah, I don't want to do this in Python. I want to do this in Action Graph. Let's go into extensions and see if there's like a trigger thing I have to enable. Nope. Or like a physics thing. Everything is already enabled that I need to be using. Alright, we might not be able to use this trigger thing until I can find some more documentation on it, unless we just spend the rest of the time just trying to figure it out, though I don't know what the next step would be for that. Oh, cool, you can add UI? Wait, what? UI, what are these things? You can make them into frames, widgets. What's this do? A UI frame? Where does that go? What's that do? What do I delete that? And create. I'm getting a little off topic because I've never seen this board before and I'm very curious. A button? Where does this go? On the timeline? Or on the viewport? I don't see it. Okay, this needs to be a whole nother learn with me, is all these new UI elements when you click create. That's interesting. Okay, physics. Oh my goodness. Tire friction table, vehicle, particle system, joint, collision group. Maybe it's in a physics material? I don't know why it would be, but it doesn't hurt to look. Raw USD properties. No, that is not what we need. What about create physics collision group? Filtered groups, inverted filter groups. Nope, 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 nope. Wow. Okay. I don't know how to apply the trigger API to the cylinder. On what basis am I streaming? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean like what am I using for streaming? I'm using Omniverse, or have Omniverse open, but I'm streaming on StreamYard. I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. Is Jen still here? Does Jen... I don't think Jen knows. I don't think Jen's explored this either. But Jen, if you're still here and you know how to trigger the trigger API... Physx schema, Physx trigger API, or Physx schema, Physx API, trigger state API. And I did give this... Maybe it needs a rigid body too. Oh, look at there. Oh my goodness. There it is. There it is. I found it. It's not in like, it's not in this kind of create. It is here. Ah, ha ha ha. There we go. Physx trigger. Sweet. Good. I'm glad. I really wanted to use this today. Wait, where'd it go? Collider trigger. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Okay, enter script type, script file, leave script type, enter script. I have no idea what that means. On enter script is a token. Read. And then the attribute name would be trigger. Enter script. Value. Trigger collider. Access a non-authored attribute with a specific timestamp is not allowed. That is the error we're getting. Access a non-authored attribute Physx trigger on enter script with a timestamp not allowed. Yeah, I'm using the animation part in Omniverse, but it uses Physx. So we're trying to get that working right now. But I'm not understanding how to connect this trigger enter script with the trigger event. Because let's just move this out of the way. Just in case that's triggering. Although that, I don't know, just in case that's triggering it. Nope. So the timeline is just playing because it plays by the push graph, but now I have to figure out how this trigger API that I enabled on the cylinder can be connected to this event. It's still saying I have an error. Lies. I have a trigger thing on it. Listen to all triggers. If I just click that, the error goes away. And the timeline still plays. Let's open this graph. Global time. No. Open graph. What if I pull this one? Can I pull this in? No. I can't do that. This doesn't give me any errors. I think I need to set it in here. But I just don't know. Okay, so I guess it's gonna be like you have to create a script, so it'll like when the trigger happens, which is read from here, it executes the script, which will be to play the timeline. So let's go create a script. Create. Have I ever created a script on Omniverse before? I haven't. Attribute reference payload. Python scripting. Yes, I have. I created the script for the collision on the pallet. I've done that. Okay. Yeah, that's because I'm listening for all triggers, but I don't understand how to create the relationship of the trigger. Like, I thought that could all be done in Action Graph, but it says it needs a script. Where's my... What's a script buffer? Script file tries to find a file on disk and execute. Script buffer does execute the provided script string directly. Oh, you can... Okay. Find a file on disk and execute. Script buffer does execute the provided script string directly. Yeah, I guess we gotta write a script. I thought that could all be done in visual scripting. Visual scripting just activates the trigger. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm so determined to do it in visual scripting. I don't want to write a script. What if we write... Oops, I'm pulling the wrong one. Write to that. And we use the attribute enter script. What's the error we get? Unable to read of type void cylinder right attribute. Unable to read. Attribute name, value, other body. Other body is path of body containing the collider prim that has entered the volume of the collider. Prim marked as trigger. It will not be updated if none of the two execution pins are wired. Path of body containing the collider prim that has entered the volume of the collider prim marked as triggered. Trigger collider is the value. Does that work? Nope. All right, I'm confused. Yeah. Before it goes out of beta, that would be great. I probably have to talk to the Omnigraph team and see if they have some idea of how I can do this. And then once I get it working, we can use this in the documentation as like an example. So I think that would be great. Also, I did not realize I had a chat message up on the screen. My bad. Sounds like you need to have both enter and leave be wired in order for the event to work. Yes, but I'm wondering if you can do that just in visual scripting or if you actually have to write a Python script. Omniverse is a good software and a good product, but learning resources are not enough and we don't get professional teachers. 2. There is definitely a lack of good documentation, and that's like something being worked on, but remember, this is all in beta, so still figuring it out. That's why I'm using these Learn With Me's to try to work through these problems too. These are good points. But I have no freaking idea where to go from this. I do have to start wrapping things up, so that's why I knew this was going to be a multiple part series, because all of this stuff is in beta and not a lot of, there's absolutely no documentation on this one for now. So maybe in part 2, I'll go talk to the Omnigraph team between now and Monday, and they can maybe give me some tips that I can bring to you all, because that's the great thing of this stream is I've got the connection to the internal team. So maybe they can give me some idea of how these can be used, because I thought it was just going to be super easy to just connect all through visual scripting, but I'm wondering if you do have to actually write a Python script. But yeah, can you remind people how to get into the beta? So if you go into your Omniverse launcher, what used to be called Create is now USD Composer. You should just see a little notification bell like you see on mine, where that means you have to update it. So you'll like click that little notification bell, click install, and it will become USD Composer 2023.1.0. That is the beta version. So if you want to use that, that's what I've been using for today. If you're trying to do trigger events, that's your homework. Your homework is try to see if you can figure it out between now and Monday while I go talk to the Omnigraph team and see if I can come back with actual resolutions for this. But at least you got to see the nodes. There's lots of cool different things. I think the character controller is going to be super awesome, where you can spawn a capsule, control the actual capsule itself. There's even scene vehicles. You got wheels and driving it. I have no idea what that's about. Maybe that's something Eric can use in his EDIO. What other things did I not pull out and show? We looked at all of the overlap things. What's sweep? Sweep returns a list of print paths, all colliders that are hit by the input sweep, whatever that means. Raycast, overlaps, contact events. Maybe we'd have to use an on contact event instead of on trigger event. Okay, part 2. So many things for part 2. Lots of new stuff. Super excited about it. All right. Be back on Monday with part 2 and some solutions. Hopefully, homework is that you guys try to find your own solution too. And I'll see you on the Discord. See you on Monday. Bye, everybody.